Welcome, everyone. Thank you for being here. Thank you for taking the time out of your day to join us live for today's webinar. I was saying during one of our prep calls with my two co-hosts, who I'll introduce in a second, I said to them the other day, like, I feel like AR folks are even busier than usual right now. It just seems like with all the events and evaluations and everything else, just seems like I know you all are professionally busy, but now is particularly hectic. So I say that to say we are extra grateful for you all taking the time out of your day to join us live for today's webinar. My name is Connor. I am on the marketing team here at ARInsights, and I am joined today by two of my colleagues from our agency team. So if you are, in addition to being an architect user, if you are also a client of our AR agency, then you may know and even have the pleasure of working with my two co-hosts, who are Patty and Kara. Patty and Kara, hello.
Hello. Hi,
How's it going?
everyone. Good to see everyone in the chat.
Patty and Kara are two of the most senior AR practitioners on our agency team. So I'm very happy, very grateful to have them with me today as my co-presenters. So the three of us will get to the main event in just a minute. But first, I do have some housekeeping. I promise it's fun housekeeping. AR Engage Live 2026. This is a free, exclusively in-person conference for AR practitioners. It's happening in Boston in November, Wednesday, November 11th through Thursday, November 12th. So it's 2 days in person in Boston with your fellow AR practitioners. And there's a full slate of programming that we're working on, keynotes, presentations, fireside chats, breakout sessions, panel discussions, you name it. And of course, in between all of that, lots of time to network, trade notes, and just hang out and have some fun. Again, this is AR Engage Live, totally free to attend. And registration opens tomorrow. This is breaking news. This is why you joined the webinar live. So if you're here live on Wednesday, May 6th, tomorrow, Thursday, May 7th, registration will open. So I will send out an email. When I send out the email tomorrow with the recording of today's webinar, I will include a link to the AR Engage Live landing page so you can register and get your free ticket. Again, it is an exclusively in-person event, which means we are literally bound by physical space as to how many people, how many tickets we can give out, how many people can attend. So I do recommend getting your ticket as soon as you can. Again, completely free to do that. And if you'll indulge me for just a second, I'll explain the photo on the right for anyone who isn't from Boston, doesn't live in Boston. My personal opinion, in terms of views of the city when you're on the ground, this is my favorite. Any Boston people in the chat, let me know whether you agree, disagree, but I think it's hard to beat this view. Just saying. So if you needed an extra reason to come to the event, maybe it's this view. So that's that. Okay, so let's get to the main event today. As you all know, the theme for today's webinar is delivering value to sales. So what Patty and Kara and I are going to show today are things you can do with Architect today as soon as you exit the Zoom to surface intelligence, surface analyst insights that would be valuable to a sales audience, to a sales leadership audience. So that's one thing we're aiming to accomplish today. The other thing, which I think is equally important, is we want to make sure that we are showing you all some best practices in terms of architect hygiene, architect maintenance, how you set up your architect site, so that on occasions where you need to quickly surface a specific set of insights, specific kinds of intelligence, we want to make sure that you all know what you can do to keep all of those insights at your fingertips. So specific request comes in, tight turnaround, and if you need something in 2 seconds, you can get it in 2 seconds. We want to make sure that you all know everything that you have at your disposal to make sure that happens. So that is those are our two sort of goals for today. And to make what we're going to show, each workflow we show, each set of best practices, to make everything more concrete and more real, we are going to frame each one through the lens of a specific scenario. And for all of these scenarios, just as general context, imagine that Patty and Kara and I are the AR team for a fictional security company called Bistro. And we're actually we have an architect site for Bistro full of analyst interactions and insight data. So we'll pull that up. And in each of these three scenarios, just imagine that we are the AR team for that vendor. So our first scenario, our AR team, we report up into the chief marketing officer. And the first scenario is that she is heading into a meeting with sales leadership. She needs to be able to share with them competitive intelligence, things that intel that can help sales win competitive deals. So she pings me on Slack and says, I'm heading into this meeting. I need you to let me know ASAP what we've heard from analysts, what analysts have told us about our competitors. So I'll show you what I'm doing in that situation in our Bistro Architect site. And then scenario two, coming out of that meeting between our CMO and sales leadership, we're told that our sales reps are having a particularly hard time with a certain competitor. You'll meet all of our fictional competitors, but there's one in particular who's giving them trouble. So, and they need help. They need some intelligence to help them win deals. We'll show how using Architect, you can help them do that. And then finally, our third scenario, Bistro is getting ready to enter a new market, getting ready to launch a product into a market that we don't currently compete in. And so in preparation for that launch, sales leadership, go-to-market leadership, they want to know what analysts are saying about the incumbents in this market so that we can start proactively preparing for how we're going to position Bistro's solution against them. So I know that's a lot, and I'll reiterate the scenarios as we go through. But again, just wanted everything that we're showing today to put it in some context that might sound familiar to all of you, just to make everything more concrete. So with that, I will once again stop my share just really quickly so I can pull up Architect. Bear with me. Okay. Patty and Kara, just let me know when you see Bistro's Architect site.
Yep.
Yeah.
Great, thank you. So again, Bistro, totally fictional cybersecurity company, but for the next 45 minutes, imagine that that's where Patty and Kara and I are doing AR. And again, the scenario, the context for our first workflow is CMO heading into a meeting with sales leadership needs to know what analysts have told us about our competitors. So that's my mission. And here's, I want to show you all what I've set up in Architect to make it really easy for me to surface that intelligence. To start, I'm going to come up here to Insights. I'm going to go to All Insights. And by default, what you all are seeing here are all of the insights that our AR team has captured in Architect from our analyst conversations just all time. That's sort of the default view. Now, to get to the specific set of insights that my CMO needs, I'm going to come over here to my saved views, open this up, and I'm going to navigate to my 2026 competitive intel saved view. And just like that, with 2 clicks in a matter of seconds, I have the exact set of insights that my CMO needs. You can see there's down here in the bottom left, there are 11 insights here. Each one is date stamped. You can see the actual content of the insight, the influencer or analyst who provided the insight, the firm that they work for, and then, of course, very importantly, the associated competitor. So again, what I want to reiterate here before I talk about how this saved view came to be, I just want to reiterate that one of the things we wanted to show you all today are best practices in Architect that can keep specific insights at your fingertips. Because again, I know you all are very busy. Oftentimes requests come in and there's not a lot of lead time. So what can you do in Architect to make sure that what you need is always at your fingertips and never takes more than a few seconds to get exactly what you need? So this is one way you can do that. So I want to talk about a couple of things. One is how saved views work and how I created this saved view. And then I want to talk about where this competitor information is coming from. So to start, saved views, again, they're over here. The way to think about saved views in Architect is they are shortcuts, essentially, right? So any situation where you're applying multiple filters, multiple kinds of filters, rather than having to apply all those filters every single time you need to get down to that specific set of insights, you just do it once, you save the view and give it a very clear name so that you know how to find it, and then you never have to do it again. Whenever you need that set of insights, you just go to your saved view. So this particular saved view, again, it's 2026 competitive intel. So I'll quickly demonstrate how I created this. Again, just back here at All Insights. First, since there's a time component, I'm going to set the time filter. So I'll come over here to my time filters. It's 2026, so I'll say January 1st to December 31st. Apply that, and then what we're looking for are competitive insights. So I'm going to come over here to add additional filters, and I'm going to say competitor is Stratum. Again, all fictional companies. Those of you who work in cybersecurity, let me know how I did with my fake cybersecurity names. I think I did pretty well. Uh, so competitor is Stratum or competitor is Valdrix or competitor is Ironbot. Those are our three competitors in this situation. So I'm going to apply that. And here we go. This is the set of insights that my CMO needs in this situation. So I'm done applying filters. To save this view, I'm just going to come over here to views and click save and give it a name, and then it'll be here forever. Anytime I need that set of insights, it's just 2 clicks away. I can grab it in a couple of seconds. So that's the saved view piece of what I showed. And I'll go back to my the other component here, of course, is where did this competitor information come from? And this is something that just recently became possible in Architect using a new functionality that we call custom fields for insights. So I want to talk about how that works really quickly and show you all how you can create your own custom fields and give you some ideas for what you might want to create. So I'm going to open up an insight here. I should also say these are, some of you may recognize the analysts. These are real analysts, but the insights are completely fictional. These analysts did not actually tell us these things because these are fictional companies. So here we are on an insight record. And one way to think about custom fields is to think of them in relation to default fields. So it's always been true in Architect that when you log an insight, there are these default fields like categories. So this insight is related to go-to-market or product/service or industry, whatever it may be. The date, of course, so the date that the insight was captured, the influencer or analyst who provided this insight, right? These are fields that this is information that you're always going to want to have on an insight record, which is why they're default. They're there for everybody. But what we've learned is that for any given AR team at any given vendor, there could be kind of limitless ways that you may want to or need to filter your insights, report on your insights. And so the reason we created custom fields is so that you all have that flexibility so that whatever way it is you need to filter or report on your insights, you can do it really easily. So to give you some examples, again, the first one I showed is the competitor field. So I created this custom field in our Architect site, and it's a drop down with our 3 competitors so that whenever I'm logging an insight, if it's related in any way to a competitor, I can just select the competitor, save it, and then in the future, if I need to pull a report of, again, in this situation, competitive insights, it's really easy. If I need to pull a report of just insights related to a specific competitor like Valdrix, equally easy. So that's one example. Patty, credit to Patty for another great idea of a custom insight field. Many of you work for large vendors with multiple business lines, so you may want to be able to report on insights by business line. That's another great example of applying custom fields. So say we have 3 different business lines at Bistro. As I'm logging this insight, I can indicate which business line the insight is relevant to, right? Those are examples of drop-down fields. You could also create these checkboxes. So if you want to be able to pull a report of differentiators, these are the things analysts have told us are our differentiators. Create a field for that, just check a box, and then in the future, again, it's just 2 clicks away, always at your fingertips. So that's custom insight fields. I know it's a lot, but this is being recorded. You'll get the recording. Please ask any questions that you have as they come up. We'll try to get to as many as we can. Last thing I want to share before I pass the 2 other things actually, before passing to Patty. To create your own custom fields for insights, you will come up here to Site, Site Admin, and then Insight Configuration. And now custom fields appears here as a toggle. Come here. And you can see these are the 6 custom fields we've created for our insights at Bistro. To add a new one, you would just come here. And as you can see, lots of options in terms of the types of fields you can create. Again, all being recorded, you'll get the recording. Any questions? If you have ideas or if you're wondering, hey, can we create a custom field for this or that? Put it in the chat, put it in the Q&A. We'd love to, we can figure it out together live. So to put a bow on this first scenario and first workflow, I'll come back to insights. Again, the way I got here, just by coming to my saved views, 2026 competitive intel, it's right there. And again, my CMO needs this heading into a meeting. So if she's quite literally walking into the meeting and there's no time for me to do any analysis, to do any kind of manipulation here, then I can just export the data to Google Sheets or Excel, send my CMO the spreadsheet, and then she has the raw data. It's better than nothing, right? But I did want to show you all before passing things over to Patty. Say you have 30 minutes. Say say the meeting's in 30 minutes. So you have a little bit of time to go the extra mile here and send something a little bit more actionable than just the raw data. I wanted to show you all an example of what's possible now. If you have great data that you're capturing in Architect and you have access to an LLM like Claude or ChatGPT, Gemini, whatever it may be, the things you can do now in as little as 30 minutes are pretty incredible. So I'm going to show an example. We are no biases, but we're big Claude users here at ARInsights. So I want to show you all something that not I did not create this. Greg created this. If Greg's here, hello, Greg. Show you something that Greg created using our bistro data in Claude. Kara and Patty, can you see? Can you
Yep,
see Claude?
I can see it.
So
Yeah.
before I start scrolling, I just want to emphasize all Greg needed to create this report I'm about to show you, Architect data. So, hygienic data pulled from Architect where the competitors tagged, other custom fields are tagged, and a prompt and Claude. And within minutes, he had created this. So I'm not gonna spend too much time on this, but I want to call out a few things. So you can see here, Claude identified where each competitor is exposed, our three competitors. This is really exciting. This is a great call by Greg. He had Claude identify 4 signals with cross-firm consensus. So in other words, looking at the insights we exported from Architect, where are the areas where multiple analysts are telling us the same thing? So for each of these 4, you can see that Claude specified the analysts who gave us an insight that supports this signal. This is I think one of the best applications of Architect plus an LLM. And one other, this is also great. Bistro's positioning against each competitor. Again, all of this came from the insights exported from Architect. You can see are the high-level positioning against Ironbind, against Stratum, against Valdrix. Again, I just wanted to share this as, again, a little bit of inspiration or an example of what's possible these days with these AI tools. Only takes, if you have the right data stored in Architect, you have an LLM, you can create something just like this. Patty, anything else you wanted to call out about this output before we move on to our next scenario? Or did I cover everything you wanted to?
I think you covered everything. I think you flagged where it shows you which analysts had provided that input, which I
Yes.
really liked the visual there. So yeah, I think these are great examples of, and you can customize. There might be certain things that each company or even business line is more interested in seeing. So you can
Yes.
just think about what the options might be.
Bear with me. I'm just making sure before we move on, I just want to make sure I didn't miss anything. And I don't think I did, which is great. Okay, let's move on to our next scenario to set the context for the next workflow we want to show. Again, any questions that you have, pop them in the chat or the Q&A. Can you all see Architect again?
Yes.
Okay, great. So again, as a reminder, our second scenario here is our CMO learns in that meeting with sales leadership that one competitor in particular, called Valdrix, is giving our sales reps can you all hear me okay? I think
Yes.
okay. One competitor is giving our sales reps an especially big amount of trouble. They need some intelligence to help them win deals against this competitor. So I'm going to hand things over to Patty. I'm going to pull up a slide that we created with, again, exported Architect Insights and Claude. Patty's going to speak to the slide a bit, share some best practices, some thoughts around sales enablement, and then I'll bring it back to Architect to show you all the workflow in Architect and the saved view that made it really easy for us to create the slide. So I'm going to stop sharing quickly, pull up our slide, and share. Patty, anything else before you take it away?
No, I'll just jump in. Thank you. Okay, so as Connor mentioned, this is the output of pulling information from Architect, different insights that we captured, similar to the scenario that he just went through. So we've captured these competitive insights on Valdrix, and the sales team is having trouble in conversations. Valdrix keeps coming up, and they need some third-party validation. How do we want to position ourselves against them so that we can, shorten the sales cycle and help close deals? So we basically want to mine the data that we've put in there, and Conor will go through the workflow,
Yep.
but feed it out to the sales team in a timely way so that as they're having these discussions, they're well informed about what the analysts are saying and can have some proof points for why the company should go with Bistro instead of Valdrix. We want to think of this obviously gives, it gives Valdrix weaknesses, it gives go-to-market vulnerability, Bistro differentiators. We might have some other things we want to pull. This is, just giving you some food for thought. But you'll want to think about how often you're going to want to pull out this information and feed it out to sales. Maybe it's something you do every month, maybe it's quarterly, maybe it's based on different triggers in the market because the market's always going to be moving. So maybe there's a acquisition. Valdrix has just acquired a company. The analysts are talking about this. The sales team wants to know, are the analysts saying that this is a real, groundbreaking acquisition? It's going to mean big things for Valdrix, and how will we compete? Or are they saying it's going to be drag on them? It really won't, be a benefit for 6 to 12 months. Really helpful for the sales team to know that quickly if we're having inquiries with the analysts on these topics, and we can capture some insights and feed it out to them. There might be product announcements that might trigger you wanting to push out new information. Valdrix has just made an announcement and they're proclaiming that this new feature is, going to be really be moving the market. And we need to know what the analysts are saying about this. Bistro's actually had that feature for the last 6 to 12 months or whatever it might be. We need to have that competitive intelligence, and having that insight from the conversations we've had with the analysts and being able to pull it out pretty easily and push it out to sales is really beneficial. There might also be a new entrant into the market. So all of a sudden, Bistro is coming up against another competitor that they haven't seen a lot, and sales isn't really sure how they want to tackle this. If maybe sales is feeding back to the analyst relations team that they're encountering this company, and we want to have some inquiries around them, find out, what the differentiators are, and arm the Bistro sales team with those insights. So we want to push the information out while it's fresh so that the sales team can sort of take action on it. Now, if there's somebody that said, we're coming up against Valdrix, we really need this information, we might be thinking about the other competitors that some of our other sales team are coming up against, a couple other vendors that were, competitors that were mentioned. Do we want to proactively create some assets on those other competitors and be pushing that out to the sales team in whatever channels that they're using? And we really want to make sure we're pushing it out to sales, kind of meet them where they are. If they have a sales Slack channel, if they have a quarterly or a monthly call that we might be invited to every now and then, if analyst relations can be at sales kickoff to educate them about the fact that we're gathering all these insights and we can tee them up for them sometimes. So that's, basically we want to be thinking proactively about what some other competitors might be doing as well. Conor can show you the methodology, but essentially we want it to be that you can set it up in Architect so that you've got good hygiene there. You can pull it out quickly, and it will be an easy and impactful thing that you can share out with to your sales team. And a nice looking deliverable that's pretty easy to do. So I think did I miss anything, Conor? I think I covered pretty much everything.
Forgive me if I missed this. I was just checking my notes really quick, so I may have missed hearing you say this. Did you touch on, collaboration with competitive intelligence for anyone on the call who has a dedicated competitive intelligence team, how that dynamic might work here?
Yeah, I mean, there are some AR people out there that have competitive intelligence underneath them. Some it's part of their responsibility. But yes, a lot of you might have a separate competitive intelligence team, and they're probably they're pulling a lot of information as well. But these inquiry conversations, if you have sort of a dedicated program about the competition and you're able to pull some of these key insights, it's another view, a very concentrated view from the analysts that we can make sure is getting sent out to the sales team. And the other thing too is that, AR is always kind of, we're trying to prove the value of analyst relations, having a direct impact on sales, being able to point to the direct impact on sales is really important. So this is a great way to do it.
Yep. I think that was it. So I will show, I'm actually going to show quickly. Again, we created this slide with Claude. So I'll show you all how we prompted Claude and how that process went over the course of just a few minutes. And then I'll go backwards even one more step back to Architect to show how we pulled the precise set of insights that we needed to create this slide. And forgive me, I underestimated the number of times I would be stopping and starting my screen share. So if it's disorienting, I apologize. Noted for next time. I'm just pulling up Claude real quick. And there you are, Claude. I'll just read really quick how I prompted Claude to create the slide that you all just saw. You're the head of AR for a cybersecurity vendor, Bistro. Each row in the attached spreadsheet, I'll show how we got it, is an insight you recently received from a cyber technology analyst. Each insight pertains either to a Bistro differentiator or a piece of intelligence on a Bistro competitor called Valdrix. The head of sales has tasked you with delivering a quick presentation to her team to help them win more head-to-head deals against Valdrix. Use the attached spreadsheet to identify the 3 recommendations you will give to the sales team during your presentation. So that was the prompt. Again, I'll talk about where this came from. First, I'll show you Claude, as Claude sometimes likes to do, went way over the top at first. Like this whatever this is way more than what I was hoping Claude would give me. So had to go back and forth a little bit. Asked Claude to condense the output. This was much better. So once I had these bullet points, said, great, now create the slide. And then a few back and forth messages, and we ended up at that slide that you all just saw. So it just took a few minutes. So let's talk about what we did in Architect to make it really easy to create that slide. Just getting my screen ready. And okay, we are back in Architect. So again, the scenario here was we learned from sales leadership and our CMO, hey, our reps really need help against Valdrix. So I'll show you all another saved view that we created. I talked about some custom fields that made it really easy to do this. Come over here to saved views, and I'm going to select 2026 differentiators or Valdrix. That will make more sense in a second. So go to my saved view. Again, 2 clicks, 2 seconds. We have the exact set of insights, the precise intelligence we need to fulfill this request. How we created this save view, again, filtered to this year. And then in terms of the other filters, we're using 2 different custom insight fields here. So differentiator is true. So we have tagged this insight as saying, hey, an analyst said this is a differentiator for our solution. Or the competitor tag to the insight is Valdrix. That's how we got here, saved this view, and then there are 12 insights, exported to a spreadsheet, gave it to Claude, you saw the prompt, and a few minutes later, we had a slide ready for our presentation. So that's how we used Architect plus AI for our second scenario. And again, to make sure I didn't miss anything, did not. So I'm going to pass things over to Kara to talk through how we went about our third scenario, which is, you may remember, we are getting ready to launch a new product, enter a new market. So we are a primarily email security company, but we're getting ready to launch an endpoint security solution. And sales leadership, go-to-market leadership, they want us to tell them what analysts are saying about the incumbents in the endpoint security market so that we can be as ready as possible, as prepared as possible to position effectively against them because they're about to be our competitors. So I'm going to hand the mic and the screen share over to Kara, who's going to talk about premium content and influencer groups and how she's using those in tandem to set up a workflow that helps us fulfill this request. So go ahead, Kara, when you're ready.
Thank you, Conor.
Share your screen.
Yeah, and do you mind if I backtrack for one moment before
Please do.
So let me share my screen. So there was a question in the chat about capturing insights from reports.
Yep.
So I mean, one way is to do that manually, but sorry, I'm trying to get rid of this. The other way to do it is you can actually upload reports as an interaction, and it will generate a summary, which you can then use to generate the AI insights. So I won't go through that whole process now, but if you're not familiar with that, it's a very helpful tool. So you would just, if you were in interactions, there is an option for new from upload, and you can pick a report and it will then summarize it. And let me just go back really quick to the view because it goes back to, Connor mentioning custom fields. You can then tag the report with coverages. And in addition to if you say, okay, I'm going to add a manual insight, you'll have options where you can pick, you can add it that way. But if you have your own dedicated coverage list, you can also add them from here. So, and that could include competitors. So anyway, so the short, kind of long response to that question is this is just another way to gather insights if you want to do them, gather them from reports.
Thank you, Kara. And this is why you bring the senior AR practitioners onto the webinar because they share things like that. So thank you.
Yeah, no, of course. I love this stuff. So, okay, so we're just gonna look at how premium content can also help support your efforts with sales. So this that I'm sharing, this is basically a premium content summary that we are filtering through endpoint security. We are looking at research, and here you can pick what time frame. I have it set up for the past year. But basically, if as Connor outlined as a case study, you're interested in going to market in endpoint security, and the executives are interested in finding out what type of research is being published, what type of research opportunities are out there, and actually AR would probably be obviously interested as well. So this could be an easily exportable summary to, again, Excel, Google, and obviously can be taken into an LLM to do some additional analysis. But so in this case, we're filtering results through an influencer group, and that's to help kind of guarantee that the content you're getting back is the most relevant content. So what I'm going to do is show how to create that influencer group. So if you go into influencers, and you can pick the coverage. In this case, we are going to look at endpoint security. The operator is one of, and that way it doesn't limit your results to analysts that only have endpoint security, but it would be one of their coverages. And in order to filter out any influencers in transit, we're going to say and influencer in transit is false and hit apply. And this will be a targeted list of endpoint security analysts. So what you would do next, or any other topic you're interested in, you could select all of those influencers and go to bulk update. And you could say assign to influencer group. And then simply pick, we'll just say endpoint security. Oops, let me fix that. And save or submit. Okay, submit. And so this becomes a permanent, if you go to influencer groups, you'll be able to find it in that view. And you then can go to premium content. I'll just take that out for a moment, but add filters, influencer group, and then search against that group.
And Kara, forgive me if you already shared this, but just in case, I just want to make sure everyone, if you could scroll a bit, just want to make sure everyone knows exactly what we're seeing here. This is just all the research published by there were 22 influencers, analysts in that influencer group. What we're seeing here is in the past year, all of the research metadata for all the research published by those 22 analysts.
Yeah, and it's nice. I mean, because with filters, you can also just say, okay, within that, now I only want to see what Gartner, if I can type, Gartner has published. So it, filtering is great. And so then this can be exported. I mean, and the other option is if you feel like you want additional analysis. This is only pulling a high level summary, but if you want more details, you can always add additional content if you have access to the full reports. So when you kind of click into these, it will go into a field where you can add more details if you would like. But as shown with Claude and some of the other AI tools, there are ways to create really nice reports that are executive ready.
Yes. Thank you so much, Kara. Would you mind
Mhm.
if I grabbed
Yes, let me stop
sharing?
sharing.
Yeah. And before that is our presentation. Those are our workflows. We have some time so we can revisit anything that you all want to revisit. Again, we'll send out the recording so you all can refer back to it, but we do have time. So if you want to stick around and ask questions, we're happy to do that. But before we do, I do have one last poll question, if you wouldn't. See if I can pull it back. Do you think any of the workflows we demonstrated today are worth taking the time to try for yourself? Yes, I think I'll try at least one, or no, I don't think I'll try any of them. Thank you all for participating. Give it a few more seconds. Okay. Well, that's nice. I'm glad to hear that. Glad to hear you all got some value out of this. So I am going to stop sharing, and I'll just for the last few minutes here while we clean up any questions, I'm going to return to my slides. Patty and Kara, any questions jumping out to the two of you that you think we should cover while we're still here live?
Um, I just think that the insights has so many possibilities that definitely encourage everyone to use that. Whether you're tracking what's happening in your inquiries, what's happening in reports. I mean, because the nice thing is, if say you're using something like Otter or some other kind of recording tool and you have a transcript, you can also just upload that document itself to capture the insights, similar to how I showed a report. So it's becoming easier and easier to capture them. It's not all just manually sitting there and trying to put them in one by one.
Yes, all of the insights that we had in our bistro site, all the insights that went into the deliverables that we showed. I created those using as Kara alluded to earlier, the generate insights button that is based on the notes you put in your interaction record. So whether it's a transcript or your own notes, even a photo of handwritten notes, get those into Architect. You can then take advantage of the generate insights, save yourself some time that way, and just makes it easy to maintain to go back to what Patty said, maintain that hygiene that is necessary to be able to use AI to help you create some of these deliverables. So, anything else from you, Patty, that you want to put a fine point on?
Yeah, I was just kind of following on what Kara said. I mean, trying to capture the insights as best you can really can be valuable once you start getting some good data to work with. You can see some themes that the analysts are putting forth, really capturing some of the competitive information if you can, and help feed into the strategy of the company. A lot of us are in very fast moving markets, and we're getting this great intel from the analysts on inquiries. And we want to make sure we're capturing that in a good way and pushing it out to the proper channels so that they can, take that into consideration when they're building their strategy for the next 6 to 12 months.
Absolutely. So if there are no other questions, I'll just thank you all again. Again, I know how busy you all are. It means a lot to Kara and Patty me that you all took the time to join us live. Hopefully, it seems like some folks got some new ideas on how to use Architect, which is great. That was the goal here. Any feedback on what you want to see us do next on another webinar, you have our emails. Let us know. And if that's it, we'll say see you later. And don't forget, keep an eye out for tomorrow's email. AR Engage Live registration will open. Physical space limitations, so get your free ticket as soon as you can. Thanks all.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
everyone.